a man and a woman. I'm talking about basically, for all intents and purposes, the law of attraction and manifesting. I'm talking about how do we start to really understand how the universe works. What's really the path we need to follow versus what is the media telling us we need to be doing. Most of which is guaranteeing to keep you stuck. So what you're going to get tonight, my hope at least, is the world according to David. If what I say, by the way, a couple of rules. First of all, if cell phone's going off in the middle of the event, annoy you, just pretend it didn't happen. If strong language or colorful metaphors offend you, run screaming for the exits now. Because I promise you, I will drop the F-bomb at least 2 or 3 times tonight. If politically incorrect, this offends you. Probably not a good place for you to be. I like to be very honest and forward. I tell things the way I see them. But I give you guys complete permission to totally disregard anything I say if it doesn't fit with what you're comfortable with. Does that make sense? And I say that because one of the most traumatic classes I ever took, and I'll give you my bio in just a minute, but one of the most traumatic classes I ever took was a class on manifesting. Because one of the things that you have to do in order to bring events or people or types of experiences into your life is you have to clear out the things that are keeping them from manifesting in the first place. And that's usually, come on in, and that's usually stuff that we don't realize is lurking below the surface. And it's going to even up, but even though, just like an iceberg, we don't see the majority of what's going on there, it doesn't mean it's not affecting us. It doesn't mean it's not holding us back from certain things. So a lot of what I had to do in those manifesting classes was I had to deal with my own shit. Okay? Secret Hidden Influence Technologies. That's what that stands for. Okay? All right? And sometimes most of the time, it's not pleasant. Now, just because it's not pleasant doesn't mean it's impossible to do. We're not going to sit here and dig into your psyches and dig up all of the nastiness that happened in your life. That's not what we're about. But there are some things that we do need to understand about our nervous system, about the way the universe, or the non-local universe, as the physicists like to call it, works. Some of it will be familiar to you. Some of it will be different. Some of it may cause what we call in the NLP circles or in cognitive behavioral therapy circles, cognitive dissonance. What's coming out of my mouth and what seems to make perfect sense will clash with what you know to be true. And you'll be struggling to find out, well, how does this all fit into my worldview? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Does that make sense? Okay. This means yes, I know the answer, or I volunteer. This means no. This means, oh shit, please don't call on me. Okay? So let me tell you a little bit about moi, because it's all about me. No, I'm just kidding. My name is David Snyder, or David Van Arrick, depending on which niche you found me in. Some people find me in the attraction, relationship, and dating and coaching niches. Some people find me in the hypnosis and hypnotherapy world. Okay, and depending on which genre you found my materials in, you'll find me either under David Van Arrick, David Snyder, or sometimes David X, but that's kind of fading away because that other seducer guy has decided to co-opt that. I am a licensed acupuncturist in the state of California. I've been a licensed acupuncturist since about 2005. Prior to that, I have about 20-some years in the hypnosis and NLP fields. I'm a certified energy healer in pranic healing, pranic psychotherapy, advanced DNA theta healing. I'm a Reiki master. I was teaching. Come on in. We have to make you come in through the front so I can see you come in. All right. Can we open that back door so people can kind of come in? It is open? They just want to come in that way? All right. And I'll just make it easy for me. I'm a certified trainer in NLP under Dr. Richard Bandler in the Society of NLP. I teach my own... Come on in, guys. I teach my own hypnosis and hypnotherapy classes. I'm also a high-level... Come on in. We have 2 seats just for you. I'm a high-level martial artist in multiple martial arts. I'm a Qigong and energy healer, body worker. The first course I ever put out on the market was a course that was designed to teach men, women, and couples how to have the most exciting, thrilling, and intimately powerful sexual and romantic life they've ever experienced. It's a classic, although most people have never heard of it. But that was actually kind of how I made my name. I wrote all these things simultaneously. I was also the president of Sleepwalkers International. Now, some of you are a little too young to remember Sleepwalkers International, but back in the early part of the decade, it was the world's largest free NLP hypnosis and self-help practice group in the world. We had chapters in, I think, approximately between 13 and 20 states and 5 countries. And basically what it was a group of people who were interested in NLP, hypnosis, energetics, for whatever application, whether it was dating, business success, therapy, whatever. But people who had lots of trainings, come on in, we won't bite, to come together, roll up your sleeves, do the drills, and get the skills. It's all about learning and practicing together to get better at the skills we have, to get the life we want the way we want it. And that's kind of my mission for you all here today. My job is, on one level, to inspire you. On another level, it's to empower you. To give you some principles and some theories that I have found to be proven reliable in pretty much any situation or circumstance, and give you some tools and techniques that you can start to custom design the life you want by your standards and definitions. I'm not here to pass judgment on what you want to use these skills for. That's between you and God. Okay? Yes, I do believe in God. Twice certified ordained minister. Teaches men how to have better orgasms and women how to be more intimate and have fun. It's all good here. Okay? So that being said, we have a pretty full house tonight. Tonight's class is on attraction mastery. And again, attraction covers a bunch of different stuff. It could be attraction, finding the right guy or the right girl. It can be finding that right opportunity, manifesting that career change, that promotion, that pay raise, more clients for your business. It doesn't really matter. You'll find that a lot of the principles are the same. And where they're different, I'll do my best to kind of give you those little tweaks. Does that make sense? So what I want to do is really, really quick, just so, are we running okay?
Yeah.
Steve? I want to thank Chris and Steve, Steve, where did I get Steve from? James in the back there. They're kind of my cohorts in crime. Chris edits a lot of my videos, and James Cito back here is a colleague of mine. He also helped me co-train in some of my advanced certifications and things. And so if you have any questions about any of the things that I'm going to be teaching you and showing you how to do tonight, grab them and just have them run you through the drill or what have you, because they've forgotten more about my material than most people will ever learn. So, starting at the back with Mr. Richard Cinta back here, what do you want to get at tonight? What brought you here?
I'm getting out of NLP and just looking for a little freshen up course.
A little freshen up course on NLP? Okay. Well, I have some good news and some bad news. Tonight's class is not an NLP class. But we will be using NLP to get a lot of the things we want. Does that make sense? The nice thing is, the way most people approach NLP, it becomes very daunting. It becomes a very complex field. My job is to make things simple, to make them easy. So, because if they're easy, you're more likely to do them. And if you do them, you're more likely to get the result. Okay? What's your name, sir? Jose. What brought you here tonight?
Thought it was interesting. I wanted to know more, I guess.
About what specifically?
Attraction.
Ah, there's that word. Attraction in what direction?
Well,
You can say girls, it's okay.
well, not that much. I mean, I'm married.
All right. So am I. It doesn't stop me from practicing attraction skills. That's usually the reason how people stay married, is they keep the attraction skills going. That's a secret, by the way. One of the things that happens when you get married or you get into a long-term relationship is society has programmed these little switches in your head that change who you think you are in a given context. For instance, when you're dating, it's the boyfriend-girlfriend identity suit that we wear, right? Then we get fiancé, right? And the behaviors start to change a little bit, don't they? Then we get married, and all of a sudden, now I'm husband and wife, right? And all of a sudden, the identities we carry around, how we relate to those people, starts to change. Sometimes we notice it, sometimes we don't. The secret to keeping your marriages hot and vibrant is to date your wife. Because you need to be doing, it stands to reason that if you did certain things that got her to want to marry you in the first place, if you kept doing them, you'd probably keep her feeling the same way. Like all the ladies in the marriage are going, right? Okay. That's one of the secrets. I do a lot of relationship coaching, a lot of attraction for both men and women. I have some courses coming out in the near future on video that explain some of this stuff in vivid detail. Just little tweaks, little understandings that if you just put them back into the relationships you had, they'd take off like a rocket. They'd reignite. But we don't. We get lazy, we get complacent, we buy into the socially programmed roles that society has nefariously plotted to install in you through movies, books, videos, television. What's your name, sir?
Mike.
Mike, what can I do for you today?
I am similar. I'm interested in NLP and just a general conversation. So
General conversation for what specifically?
general conversation, NLP, law of attraction.
Okay.
So,
Very cool. Very cool. We're going to do lots of that. Kirk.
Kirk, and I'm interested in the NLP hypnosis. I'm always fascinated with how the mind works. With
Okay.
Just do things and not do things, and you know how to get yourself to do what you want to do.
Excellent. We're going to cover lots of that stuff today. I got some really cool tweaks for you you're going to like.
Marilyn Salerno.
Hi, Marilyn.
I am an hypnotist, and I enjoy my work, and I always like to grow. And I think I even chose this class before you picked the subject. It's a great subject.
Thank you.
And I'm here to learn.
Cool. Well, I'm here to teach as much as I can pour into your head. Sometimes I wish I could actually pull a matrix and just plug into the back of your head and just download it right to the hard drive. But give yourself some time. Sometimes I get really too excited with some of the things I'm teaching, and I start spouting stuff a mile a minute, and I assume you have a certain level of knowledge that maybe you don't have. Because unfortunately I'm a, what we call a CF OCD, control freak, obsessive compulsive, which means this is what I do. I geek out on this stuff. I really do. I really do. What do you want to get?
I'm Cynthia, and I took one class from you before, and I just really enjoyed your whole method of approach. And
Cool. Do you remember what the class was that you took?
No.
Okay. I did my job then. Don't be surprised sometimes when you come out of class. That was amazing. What the hell did I just learn? Because I do actually use hypnotic techniques on you or with you as I'm teaching this to you.
Sales.
Sales? Oh, okay, I remember. Yeah. A lot of this stuff, again, we're talking about attraction, right? So sales and marketing, relationships, promotions, anything where you want to attract a specific set of circumstances into your life, or keep a set of certain circumstances from keeping appearing in your life, that's what we're talking about. Okay? How many people have things that keep happening in their life that they wish would just stop? Raise your hands. That's the don't call on me move, right? Okay? We're going to show you how to find the reasons they're there, and we're going to systematically give you the skill sets to remove them. Okay? Now to do that, I will have to go deeper into some of the NLP aspects of things than some of you may have a foundation for. That's okay. I'll show you how to get that foundation as we go on tonight. Because the reason I go around with this, and Drew will tell you, I always do this with every group, because even though you all read the same description letter, there was something in that letter that resonated specifically to you. Something that you knew you would get out of tonight. You found in there, it hinted at something that you really, really wanted. And I want to make sure that by the time you leave here tonight, you'll at the very least have a direction to go, or even better, the tools to start making that happen for you. That's my goal. Okay? Because there's always more to learn. It's not how much you learn, it's what you do with the skills that you have. Okay? Because if I give you every book on NLP and video on NLP ever written, and they sit on your mental... Come on in, Violet. Come on in, it's all right. And you don't do anything with them, what good is it? Nothing. So one of the very first exercises I'm going to share with you tonight was not developed from NLP. It was developed by somebody who was much more serious about winning. The USSR. It's a technique. I call it the procrastination hesitation blaster. Okay? The original technique, as it was created, was called the echo magnet. If you can find it, it's in a book called Red Gold, which last time I saw, unless you could get a copy on FileShare, was selling for around $200 on Amazon. But it's based on the system of autogenic training, mind-body training, that the Soviet athletes were using to sweep the Olympics in the early 70s and 80s. Okay? It's a very cool technique. It's actually very easy, but you actually have to do it in order to make it work. Okay? So that's one of the first techniques I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, because it's designed when there's something you know you need to do, but you just don't want to, and you know you need to get on it. You pop this technique into the hard drive, and it builds up an emotional push that gets you moving forward. Okay? So that's one of the techniques we're going to cover. But I want to get through everybody else, and then we'll get into that.
I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello. And Cynthia was so enthused about the session she attended that I decided to come along. But what I'm really ready to attract are more clients to my private practice.
Okay.
And more participants to some workshops that I'm sponsoring.
Excellent. So more participants. I'm good with that. More. That's really, if you really wanted to sum everything that we're going to do tonight into, and why you're here, it's either more, or less. There's more stuff we want and less stuff we don't want. Right? How about you?
I'm Diana, and I'm sort of curious, and I saw Barbara going, so I know Barbara, so overall curious. And
So we know who the social leader here is. Leadership is a good thing. Okay? And what do you want to get? What do you take home tonight?
This is the topic of attraction and all around business, and just you know.
Do you have your own business as well?
Yes,
What can I ask what you do?
I'm a consultant in international standards.
Ooh, that sounds really high tech. Right on. I have some really good stuff along those lines. A little bit off the topic of this one, but I think there's some. They flew us out to Israel last year to do a lot of high-level consulting with Essence Security. And we had to work with their R&D people, we had to work with their VPs, and we had to work with their sales and marketing department. So there's some things that might be useful for you there as well. Super Drew.
Just here to learn the tools.
I'm glad to see you again. You've been gone forever,
I've
bro.
been gone.
Yeah. And who is this lovely young lady with you?
This is Bree.
Hi, Bree.
She's a sister of my colleague.
Sister of
She wanted to check it out.
Are you chaperoning him tonight? Is that what this is about, or what?
Making sure he doesn't try to parachute off rooftops or anything like that.
Oh, you're doing that again, huh? Yeah. Next time, take the chute with you. So what do you want to get out of tonight?
I'm really open to it all, specifically how to apply these techniques to all aspects of life and seeing what can happen.
Is there a favorite one you have in mind that you feel?
I mean, really, it's kind of there's a lot. There's
Oh, my note button just went off.
There's school.
Uh-huh.
That's a big one. The ability to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Creativity.
Creativity.
And getting out of anxiety mode to have more fun. I think that would be important.
Ooh, she just gave me a ton of information. And none of it is in what she said. First thing, how many people have some background in NLP? I know Richard does. How many people have some background in NLP? Just so I know. Okay. And how many people here are therapists or doing something in those lines? Okay. One of the things that you want to understand, for those of you who don't have a background in NLP, is that human communication does not happen on just a verbal level. It does not happen on just a linguistic level. One of the things that Richard Bandler and John Grinder, the people who created NLP, discovered was basically, and I'm paraphrasing, communication the way human beings do it is a hologram. It's holographic. So while there are words coming out of my mouth, there's also a tonal aspect to the things that I'm doing. There is a volume aspect to the things that I'm doing. There is a speed aspect to the things that I'm doing. But even beyond that, the gestures that I use, where I place my hand as I'm describing those things, are marking out how my nervous system accesses that information. Okay? Now, we flip that to the energetic side of things. NLP says we store all this information like a little bubble, almost like a virtual reality. Everybody here ever see Iron Man? Or Mission Impossible, where they're doing all that virtual reality stuff and they're sliding pictures in, or where even your iPhone, where you're moving stuff around, opening them up. Where do you think the idea for that really comes from? It comes from your nervous system. So what you'll see a lot of times, remember I was talking about being able to perceive on a different level. The words coming out of a person's mouth are important, but not nearly as important as everything else. So when a person is talking about their focus and their creativity, right? And their school and getting out of. See, she's getting that because I'm doing her gestures back at her, right? I could just go like this, and she knows exactly what that means, right?
Speak sign language.
Right? Because those gestures and the motion connected to it have a neurological meaning to her. And the more of that I can capture and give back to her, the more powerfully her system must respond. In terms of attraction, that is the fundamental secret to getting anything you want. People will do unto you, literally, how and what and the way they want to be done unto. If you can elicit the right level of information and give it back to them in the same way, more often than not, they will do what you want by default. And it's completely ethical and completely honest because they're telling you, this is how you make me happy. Just give me this and I'll be happy. I'll do what you want and I'll be happy doing it. But we don't do that because society, academia, and whatever sales training we have programs us differently. They say we have to give them a list of features and benefits and hopefully something will stick. No. Usually the most powerful way to get somebody to do what you want is to listen to the words coming out of their mouth and give them back. Whether it's therapy, whether it's sales, dating and relationships, whatever. The order and sequence of words coming out of a person's mouth is a direct mirror, a direct copy of the structure of how they think. Where they gesture and the way they gesture as those words are coming out tell you what they're doing in their body that makes those feelings real. Does that make sense? Okay? The problem we as human beings have is we move through the world projecting our own strategies, our own theories, our own way of doing things onto everyone around us, and then making them wrong when they don't do it the way we do. The secret to applying NLP, at whatever level you understand it, is having the ability to put what you know aside and literally for the space of time being like a big white marker board and letting the person or people you're interacting with write on your marker board what's important to them and reflecting it back to them so that every time they look at you or they interact with you, they see themselves. Okay? That, in a nutshell, is what everything about NLP is teaching us to do. Okay? That being said, the first exercise that I want to get into is the two things that you need to understand, besides what I just said. Does anybody have any questions on that? I kind of got into a long dissertation. Jeff, what do you want to get out of tonight?
Mainly that echo magnet is going to be a big one.
Oh, if you got that, you'd be good, huh?
Procrastination.
Oh, I'm going to show you something that's going to blow that away. But it's really powerful.
Right.
Okay, I taught this once about 2 years ago. And by the way, I teach this class several times a year, but every time I teach it, it's different. It's different because I'm constantly refining, getting field reports, and looking for easier ways to make this useful for you. Does that make sense? So there's two things that you need to understand that are missing from what everybody here has seen The Secret, I'm sure, right? Okay, I'm going to teach you what they left out. Okay, on one level it's going to be amazingly simple. It goes, that's it. And on another level it's going to be amazingly challenging for you. Okay, the first one is, I'm going to start with the easy one first. What I think the easy one. Action. You can do your affirmations all day long. You can create vision board after vision board after vision board after vision board. But at the end of the day, you don't get off your butt and do something, nothing is going to happen. Well, one thing will probably happen. They'll come and take your stuff. Because if you don't do something to change the situation you're at, the best that can happen is the situation you're in only stays the same. The worst that can happen is it continues to get worse and worse until you have to do this. Better to choose to do it than not. Right? So, on top of everything I say, add that. Do it. Just start. And it doesn't have to be the right action. The human nervous system, the human mind, the human brain is the single most powerful goal-achieving mechanism on the planet. It's the entity that created the global positioning system. You know, the thing that tells you how to course correct? It created that. Which means it can probably do it too. Unless you only stay in one spot. Right? As one of my mentors, Lisa Sasevich, used to say, the best global positioning system in the world can't help you if you stay in one place. So even if you're moving in the wrong direction, just the act of moving gives you the ability to find the right way to go. So just get in the action. And make them small movement. They don't have to be these big, grandiose, perfectly thought out actions. You just have to get started. Like showing up at someone like me who's going to offend you, speak politically incorrect language at you, and give you the tools that you can go out and use. Right? Sometimes the best thing you can do to a client, I don't know how many of you are hypnotherapists, but sometimes the best thing you can do to a client is send them the fuck home. Because some people will not change until they've suffered enough. I'm sorry. We, as healers, we try to be caring, loving, condescending, but sometimes the most important thing we can do is send them away. Okay? I give you that for nothing, because my specialty clinically is physical illness that has as its cause repressed emotion. Okay, I don't get smoking patients. I don't get weight loss patients. Although I will tell you, I have a 100% success rate with weight loss, but I only get like 4 a year. Okay, most of what I get is incurable, intractable pain that will not go away. Transplant organs that the memories of the donor start to bleed over into the mindsets of the people who receive them, and they start craving junk food and they're health food nuts. Hysterical paralysis, cancer. Those are the things that I deal with on a pretty consistent basis. I'd like to say I save everybody that comes to me for cancer. No, I got about a 50-50. Okay, which is still better. When you're terminal, that's still pretty good. All right. So that's what I don't just do this, for attraction, and I do this in the really hardcore stuff. I mean, I walk the talk. Okay, so when I tell you sometimes what you need to do is send them home, nobody has had the courage and the honesty to do that for them. And you send a smoker home, so you're not ready to change, come back when you've suffered enough, or come back when you're really serious about it. It completely changes their worldview, because up until that time, they've had a strategy that they've been using on everybody they've gone to for help that has worked on the therapist and hypnotized them into trying to beg them to change. As hypnotists, as therapists, you do not beg people to change. You can't. It won't happen. All right? So take that for what it's worth. Now, translating that same mindset over to something like attraction. In the pickup and seduction world, the PUA industry, there's a saying that that starving people never get fed. If you move through the world begging somebody to give you something, or, you ever go to a bank when you have no money and ask for something? Do they give it to you? Right? But if you go in dressed like you have $1 million, and you can show them something that says I have $1 million, they're more likely to give you $1 million. It's the same concept. A little bit of a tweak, but it's the same mindset. If you move through the world like, if I have this, I'll be somebody, the world's not going to give it to you. Which brings us to the second aspect of what I want to talk about. And I'm going to be a little bit drawn out, but you must have an identity that supports the experiences you want to have. Okay? It's entities. A real quick and dirty way of saying identities is beliefs. We also talk about values. They're not the same, but they interrelate. You have two sets of beliefs. Those you know about and those you don't know about. It's usually not the beliefs we know about that keep screwing us up. Because if they were, we would change them. What is a belief? Does anybody know? What's a belief?
Something you accept as truth.
Okay. Barbara, what's a belief?
It sounded good to me.
What's a belief? I I defer to the woman's. Jeff, what's a belief?
Just an internal understanding of the way something is or the way it works.
Okay. Richard, what's a belief? Okay, I'm getting ready for the NLP speak.
Belief is just something that you would die for.
You would die for. Tell you something about his values, huh? Marilyn, what's a belief?
It's just a belief that you decide is yours.
A belief is just a belief that you decide is yours. What was that negative thought? Never use the word that you're trying to define in the definition? All right, I'm going to make it real simple for you. This is the world according to David. Feel free to disagree, but for the sake of tonight, for the time we're together tonight, act as if what I'm saying might actually be true. A decision at its most primal, fundamental level, a belief at its most primal, fundamental level is a decision about the way the world is based on the information you had at the time. That's all it is. But if that's true, why can't we just change it? Well, the truth is you can. Once you get rid of the emotions and the bad information, that's keeping it in place. Hence, we have two sets of beliefs. Those we know about, those we don't. Most of the ones we don't know about were installed prior to the age of 5. Most of it prior to the age of 5, you have no control over what gets written to your hard drive. Okay? Sometimes it's even a little beyond 5, but usually when I do a lot of regression work in my practice. I do a lot of other really cool stuff too. But usually when you find the seed event, the real reason that they're having huge eating issues or they're cutting or I hate to bring this up in this group, but a lot of people wind up in my chair for one thing, and I wind up dealing with other things at the same time. Usually sexual abuse, almost always before the age of 5. Okay, it's a sad testament, but that's reality. Okay, and there are things that come out of that, and there's a whole complex that we're going to talk about. But there's beliefs we know about, and beliefs we don't know about. Let's just go that far with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a technique tonight. I didn't create it. Okay. A lot of the techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you, if I created it, I'll tell you. If I didn't create it, I'll tell you that too, and I'll tell you where I got it. I take credit for the synthesis, not the source. I've had a lot of amazing teachers in my life, and I still seek out knowledge everywhere I go. Highly recommend you do too. There's a technique we're going to learn tonight called STEMS. I'm going to teach it to you as a writing exercise. If we were going to do it clinically, we would actually have the client in the chair and be... How many people have heard of the STEMS technique? I know you guys have. You've been in my trainings forever. Okay. I have a paper I'm going to hand out in just a minute, and we're going to walk through that. Because before we get into the ecomagnet, I want to make sure that when you leave here tonight, even if you can't address it directly tonight, you have a tool that you can go and start to really dig deep into why you believe the things you believe, so that you can use the tools I'm giving you to remove it and change it. Does that make sense? Okay. You will use NLP to do it. You may use a little bit of a hybrid techniques that I've developed over the years that have worked really, really fast because I'm lazy. And I'm not real bright sometimes, so I just like things that are really but simple to do. Now, we can sum this up. I stole this phrase from a woman named Taylor Sinclair, who is the founder of Illuminescence. It's a fashion psychology program. You can have anything in life that you want. No, this is not Zig Ziglar, although I admire Zig. You can have, be, or do anything in life that you want. But first, you must become the kind of person that those things can happen to. Which means the onus to change is on you. Okay? If you want different results in your life, you must change you, not everybody else. The beautiful thing about it is, because I'm lazy, when you change you, everyone around you changes too. And that's not metaphysics, by the way. That's not pop psychology. That's neuroscience. Well, if you guys want, I'll go into the long, drawn-out neuroscience experiment they did that proves this. Won't make some of you happy, but it is what we found out neurologically, what happens. It's Violet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Violet, what brought you here tonight?
My brother...
Your brother brought you here tonight.
No, my brother learned NLP and he told me how powerful it is,
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to check it out.
Okay. How many people here just wanted to find out more about NLP and didn't care what the topic was? Raise your hands. All right, very cool. So let's start with that. One of the first things we're going to do with NLP is, what are thoughts made of? Energy? Ooh, okay. Take the energy model aside. By the way, I'm big on energy. Whether you believe in energy or not, doesn't really matter. It'll still work. I happen to believe in energetics. I'm an acupuncturist. I really can't not. But even if you just think of energetics as a metaphor for neurological ones and zeros floating around your nerves, it will still work. Okay? So, what are your thoughts made out of? Okay, we could say energy, but actually on a more practical level, what are thoughts made out of? Huh? Impulses?
Yeah, electrical impulses.
Okay, we're getting real primal there, but he's right. Electrical impulses. There's 5 building blocks that your thoughts are made of. You ready? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. Period, end of story. Okay? When you describe a thought, when you have a thought, it's related to you in these 5 sets of information. Okay? Well, so what about intuition? Intuition's a feeling. Okay? We're not pigeonholing what these things are, but we need to understand that the building blocks of our thoughts and the building blocks that we use to communicate are the same 5 elements. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. All right? Now, within each of these big categories are little attributes. Like say we have visual, for instance, right? So what would be some visual attributes that we might assign to something? Marilyn, I know you have one.
Shapes,
Shapes, okay.
color.
Color, excellent.
Size.
Size, very good, because size matters, especially to the nervous system. Okay? Just to show you that real quick, how many people here are really good with feelings? Raise your hands if you're good with feelings. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes. How many people here want to feel really, really good right now? And if you don't want to feel good, then you're probably this isn't the good meetup for you. Right? Like, I don't want to feel good, I can't manifest. Ooh. All right? I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to think of the most wonderful sensation you've ever experienced in your body. And you don't have to tell me what it is, so you can make it as wonderful and as juicy as possible. By the way, you don't have to believe in what I'm teaching you. You just have to do what the hell I say.
That's a rule.
No, I'm serious. Those of you who do change work, this was the biggest epiphany I ever had. Your techniques work as long as the person in your chair does the fucking drill. If they do what you say, they'll get the result. The only time it doesn't work is when they don't do what you say. And we can take that even further, but the bottom line is, if you just do it, you take the actions, you'll start to generate the results. So, for those of you who really do want to feel good, when I say close your eyes, I don't want to see this. Right? when I see, point to where you feel it in the body, you go. Little problem there, right? The secret to really, really energizing even NLP is getting the body involved. Okay? And I'm gonna explode some myths on NLP as we get into this. Some of these you'll know about, some you won't. But I want you to close your eyes and remember and think of a time in your life when you felt the most wonderful sensation, experience, I don't care what it is, as long as it's an 11 on a 10 scale. And now what I want you to do is I want you to do several things for me. I want you to imagine, if you could, that little hologram around you. You could reach out and touch the image of that wonderful experience. Just reach out with your dominant hand and touch it. Put your hand right into it. And notice what happens to the feeling as you put your hand into it. Now, you'll probably notice that there's a place in your body where that feeling wells up from. With your other hand, I want you to point to it. Good. Now, as you look at that feeling in your body, you can put your other hand down. I want you to notice there's a color associated with that feeling. Close your eyes. Point in your body where you feel that feeling and look at that energy with your inner eyes. Reach in with both of your hands. Pull it all out so it's in your hands. And make sure it's all in your hands. As you look at it, I want you to notice it and make sure it's all in your hands, because sometimes that shit hides. Did the color change or stay the same? And notice it's moving in a certain direction. Notice what direction it's moving. And what I want you to do now, I want you to do something really cool. I want you to grab it with both of your hands, like you have two big handles on it. And I want you to physically take your arms and double the amplitude of the spin, double the direction of the spin, and double it again. And keep doubling it. And keep doubling it, and keep doubling it until it's impossible for it to go back the way it was. When you know it's impossible to go back to the way it was, it can only get stronger. Slam it back in. Whoosh. Notice the change. Notice how good you feel. Ooh. Come on in. Marilyn's in heaven over there. Okay. Now I can see the people who are self-conscious and who aren't. They're going. Here's the. Come on in. The secret to making a lot of this stuff work, especially NLP style interventions, you must get the body involved. If all you do is play with pictures out here, by the way, how many people noticed they found out when I told you to reach out and touch it, your hand went right to the spot? Right? Guess what? You all do it, whether you're conscious of it or not. That's where you store that experience. But we went further with that. Once I had you find it, I had you reach in and touch it, right? And I wanted you to notice, where in your body does that feeling start? So now what we've done, if we want to get all technical on it, is we've linked the proprioceptive projection of the experience to the somatic address, the place in your body where you store the feeling. How many people here do body work of any kind? Okay. How many people have ever noticed when you've gone for deep, maybe you've been the victim of this, you've gone for a deep tissue massage and they hit a certain spot and all of a sudden trauma comes from when you were 12, or people start bursting into tears or laughing or whatever. It's because every emotional experience that we have that we do not resolve fully gets stuck somewhere in the soft tissues of the body. Okay? That is a process that the nervous system does. You are hardwired for it. You can't not do it. Since that's what the body does anyway, it's also one of the primary ways that you attract things into your life, by the way. When we connect what's out here to what's in here, we light up more and more areas of the brain. The more areas of the brain that you get fired up and absorbed in the experience. I don't care about hypnosis. I care about absorption. How many people here were ever children? You were never a child, obviously.
Oh, I used to have children.
Yeah. How many people here were ever a child? Okay. I get nervous. People go, "You're trying to do something to me, boy. I know it." Right? Now, were you a child once?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So were you like a tomboy or a tomgirl?
I'm a tomboy.
Yeah? So, like, if I asked, like, what you played at, like, did you play Cowboys and Indians, Cops and Robbers, Soldier? What was your game?
Hide and seek.
Hide and seek? Right on. Did you ever play pretend with anybody?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you like to play pretend at?
And a lot of pretend house.
House? Okay. So, what was your role, if you don't mind my asking?
I was usually the youngest one there, so I had to be the baby.
Oh, I bet that pissed you off.
That time.
Okay. Remember what did you play at when you were little?
Pretty similar.
You were the baby too?
Well, no, I was middle child.
Middle child, okay.
And it was a combination of girly girl and tomboy. So it'd be like while in dress and clip-on earrings, and playing in mud, hiding, and go seeking.
I like those synergistic approaches. Did you ever play dolls?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember when you were sitting there, maybe you played teacups, and you were the Queen of England or what, some hoity-toity thing, you had the little pinky sticking out on the teacup, right? And you knew in the first 5 minutes that you were having a conversation with a doll, right? You have a conversation with your doll or your teddy bear, and you knew, even at 5 years old or however old you were, it's a teddy bear for the first 5 minutes. And then about 6.5 minutes later, maybe a little bit longer, a little less, the teddy bear's answering back. You're asking about its day, it's telling you, you're having this long drawn-out conversation, and you're having a ball. Would that be true for most of you? You guys, I know you guys didn't play with teddy bears, right? You're all playing soldiers or what, right? What'd you play at, Kirk?
I probably did some more things like that.
War things? Okay. And you knew when you picked up that stick in the backyard, right? That it was just a frickin' stick for the first 5 minutes. And then about 6 minutes later, there's real bad guys behind the tree. It's now an M60. You're Rambo, and you're going hunting, right? And you're dodging bullets, and you're rolling, and you're chucking, and you're diving, you're killing the bad guys, right? Were you asleep? Were you focused? Were you absorbed in the experience? Were you in control? Were you having a ball? That's what we want. We want absorption in the experience. To the degree that you create absorption in the experience, you can generate any phenomena you want. That, my friends, in hypnosis terms, in NLP terms, is what we call depth of trance. It's not about being vegetative in your chair. It's not about being comatose. It's not about being out of control. It's about giving yourself permission to play pretend, to become completely absorbed and focused in that experience so you can enjoy whatever you want. How many people have ever gone to see a movie? It's like, why is he asking me this stupid shit? Right? It's not stupid. It's important. You remember you walked into the theater, right? You found your chair, you got your popcorn, maybe your diet soda. You know, I never felt there was that popcorn and diet soda. You know, you sat down in the chair, right? Put your stuff down. You're all settled, making sure your cell phone's off, making sure the guy behind you's cell phone's off. The lights go down. Can you tell me at what moment you became absorbed in the picture, in the movie? Because if you could, you're lying to me. That's what we want. When you go through these exercises, when you do these techniques, just do that. Does that make sense? Don't worry about whether you're hypnotized. It's bullshit. You don't need it. Two things we modulate as hypnotists, as neuro-linguistic programmers: absorption in the experience and focus of attention. To the degree that you have it, you can generate any trance phenomena you want. Okay? That's what's going to give you success in anything. Because whether you're selling to a group of people or one-on-one, whether you're trying to attract the ideal person, let me ask you a question. How many people here have ever been in love? I shouldn't ask this, but when you were in love with this person, were you really absorbed in their presence? Were you really focused? Did reality kind of change a little bit? Right? Trance is an emotion. Emotions are trances. Any emotional state taken to extreme becomes a powerful trance. Your body is designed to pull experiences into your life that generate those feelings. Not the events. It doesn't go in, like in NLP they have this thing where they create this event, we put it in our timeline. Well, I'll talk about timelines in a minute. But it's not the event itself that's important. It's just a tool. It's the feeling that that tool creates that we go for. That's what the body is drawn to. One of our five senses, the most powerful of our five senses, I believe, is our sense of kinesthetics, our sense of feelings. So the more we can access feelings here, the more everything else shifts. Okay? So, you must become the kind of person that these things can happen to. How do you do that? You change the way you feel. You learn to modulate your feelings and create the feelings within you for what you want to have happen, for what you want to experience. And if they're programmed in properly, your internal GPS will seek out events and situations that re-trigger those feelings. and you'll start to have more and more of the things that you want getting pulled into your life pretty much automatically. Okay? Doesn't mean all the NLP techniques and things that we do are bad. It means that if we add this one element, this whole concept of feelings stored in our bodies, and plug that in, our nervous system, our brain, must seek to bring our internal environment in balance with our external one. And it will change you subtly. It will change your perceptions. It will change the things you focus on. It will even start to change the things you believe to make that reality true for you, inside and outside. That's what it does. Does that make sense? Okay. So let me give you this first exercise. This is not something we're going to have time. By the way, does anybody need a bathroom break? I've been talking for a long time. Does anybody need to go potty? Potty. Okay. No, I don't have to go. I'm telling you right now, I will talk for 6 hours. I have no problem. I geek out on this stuff. Seeing you guys transform is the reason I stand up here. I really do. This is the paperwork. This is called the STEMS technique. I did not create this. The first time I'd heard about this was from Jerry Kine, one of my mentors. He's since retired, but if you can get copies of his videos, especially those of you who are doing hypnotherapy, I highly recommend it. These sentences on this page are only examples. Now, this is in hypnosis and NLP terms what we call an uncovering technique. An uncovering technique is a way to kind of bypass the bullshit, for lack of a better word. In the therapy world, where I spend a lot of time, as well as the other areas, we have this thing commonly called the presenting problem. Basically what that means is the problem that somebody comes to you for is never the real problem. It's just what they think the problem is. Okay? This happens consistently enough that it's pretty much, you can generalize it to people who are okay, all right, or functional. But basically, like for instance, a lot of times I'll get people who come in and they have performance issues. And when I say performance, it has nothing to do with sports, unless you consider certain things sports. Somebody went there, all right. So what they'll come in, what they'll fill out